Have you guys ever wondered whether or not it was possible to de-yellow the uppers of your shoes? I've always wanted to, but I know that sole sauce is an incredibly harsh chemical that you do not want to be getting on the uppers of your kicks typically. In today's episode, we're going to be testing out a new product that I have in to see if we can bring some life back into these Air Jordan 1 UNC patent leather. What's going on, guys? I'm Sailboat with Sailboat Supplies, and welcome back to another episode of You're Icing Wrong. This is the quest to find the best icing or de-yellowing solution on the market for your kicks. In today's episode, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than the traditional episodes because I have a new product in and I'm really curious to see if it can help with the uppers of these Air Jordan 1 Patent UNCs. Unfortunately, just due to time, these things have definitely discolored pretty substantially, and I have had a ton of trouble selling them because of that. However, just recently, I was able to obtain a bottle of this here NuAntidote. NuAntidote is produced by a group called New Life Kicks, who has been putting out a whole bunch of sneaker-safe cleaning and restoration products in the past several years. Today, we're going to be finding out if their NuAntidote can actually help with the de-yellowing of these Jordan 1s. As you guys might be able to tell from the close-up shots here, the left shoe is actually in a lot worse condition than the right shoe. So I think what I'm going to do for this episode is I'm going to clean just the left shoe using the NuAntidote and see if there's any sort of substantial difference between the left shoe after I go to ice it and the right shoe. One of the cool things about NuAntidote is even though it functions as a de-yellowing agent, it actually doubles as a sneaker cleaner. I'm really interested to see what this NuAntidote can do for me. So follow along as I break it down with my first time using NuAntidote to see if it's gonna work for me.
At its core, NuAntidote is actually a very easy product to use. Basically, you just take it and spray it onto whatever sneaker you're cleaning. You let it rest for about 30 seconds, and then you take an appropriately bristled brush to kind of wipe down the shoe. After doing this, you rinse it down with a very small amount of water just to get the excess cleaner off, and then you just dry it down. After it's been dried, you throw it in your ice box and you just let it sit there for 24 hours. Easy as that.
Alright, I wanted you guys to be able to see this. I kind of elevated the shoe, so then that way the reflections from the Mylar sheets can ice the bottom of the shoe at the same time. I'm hoping that'll work, keeping everything temperature controlled. We're in a nice cool room, so it shouldn't get too hot. 24 hours in the ice box. Let's go. Alright guys, so it's been about 24 hours since I treated the left shoe of this pair of Patent UNC Jordan 1s, and we're about to take a closer look to see if it actually did anything in helping with the yellowing of the patent uppers. So let's dive closer and see what we can find. So I gotta start off with saying that as far as being a cleaner, the NuAntidote actually did a pretty good job, and I'm relatively impressed with the fact that these things look so clean after having one quick wash done. Now, as far as the actual de-yellowing is concerned, I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't see much of a result. This left shoe is looking essentially the same as it did when I first started with it, and I really don't think that this patent leather has changed in color at all. A really interesting piece of information is it definitely looks like the actual thread that's used to stitch the sole onto the uppers has turned blue in a couple of regions, and this is something that I definitely did not see before this process, and I'm not not seeing it on the right shoe either, so I'm wondering if the NuAntidote brought out like a different hue in those white threads, but honestly it's not something that I recognized before the cleaning process, so I'm a little bit uncertain as to why those threads are looking blue. At the end of the day, this is an incredibly specific project, so there's no way to say whether or not NuAntidote is actually a good or a bad product, but what I do think that I need to do is give these another 24 hours without rinsing them off first to see if there's any sort of difference between that type of cleaning and a cleaning where I rinse them off with warm water afterwards. So let's do that real fast. We'll wipe them down with the NuAntidote, kind of use that soft bristle brush to scrub in the NuAntidote and clean them that way before putting them underneath the UV light for another 24 hours and see if that has any sort of effect. I want to make sure that I test this product in all sorts of different capacities to see where it might be beneficial and where it might not be so beneficial. So of course, I got to try it out a little bit more on this pair of kicks. Let's hop into that cleaning process and get it back under the UV light for another 24 hours.
Since I didn't see any real results after the first 24 hours of trying to ice with NuAntidote, I decided to change up my process a little bit. After letting the NuAntidote sit on the left shoe for about 30 seconds, I wiped it down utilizing my brush, but I didn't rinse it with any water. I placed it directly inside the ice box to see what would happen.
Alright guys, so it's been an additional 36 hours since these Jordan 1 UNC patents have been in the ice box after being cleaned with the NuAntidote solution on the left shoe only. Let's dive in to take a closer look to see if there has been any sort of noticeable effect with the deyellowing of this left shoe in comparison to the right. So far, it's been a total of 2.5 days inside the ice box, and I just don't see any sort of difference with this left shoe in comparison to the right shoe. You guys even saw that with the second treatment of the NuAntidote, I scrubbed it in and did not wipe it down at all in hopes that it might be able to penetrate the material a little bit deeper and help to de-yellow it. Unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be the case, and quite honestly, the shoe is looking pretty much exactly the same as when we started out. I was really hoping that there was going to be a little bit more of an effect. Obviously, I want to try to give these things as close to a traditional icing as I would be for this series. So I'm actually going to go ahead and treat the left shoe one more time using NuAntidote and let it sit in the icebox for an additional day and a half or so. So then that way it's been there for a total of 4 days. Let's get down to it. We'll clean this off using some NuAntidote one more time and then throw it right back in the icebox.
I really wanted to give NuAntidote benefit of the doubt because I know that patent leather can be a very tricky material to work with, and I just wasn't seeing any sort of results after 2 24-hour sessions. I decided to give the left shoe several more treatments utilizing the NuAntidote to see if extra time would have any sort of benefit for the left shoe here. I utilized the same method that I did for the second treatment session, where I didn't actually utilize any sort of water to wipe down the NuAntidote after application.
At this point in time, I have treated the left shoe with NuAntidote multiple times. I've left it under the UV light for a cumulative total of about 6 to 7 days. It's about time that we take a look to compare it to the right shoe to see if any sort of major changes were made over the past week or so. Let's take a closer look and find out what these results were like. We'll just kind of take a quick comparison. Obviously, the left shoe, even though it's been in the icebox for such a long period of time, is still more yellow than that right shoe as far as the uppers are concerned. This is especially noticeable up around the collar of the shoe, up through this area right next to the Air Jordan emblem. And then as we come over to the toes here, you can actually see that the NuAntidote did a really good job of cleaning off the shoe, so it looks a little bit better than this right shoe, but it's definitely still a bit more yellowed. As we work our way over onto the medial portion of the shoe, the yellowing is pretty even on both sides. You can see that it might just be a hair worse on that left side still. And again, we treated this for about 7 days without any sort of specific results that you can see right off the bat here. Worth noting though,
is flipping over to the soles here, and you can see that this left shoe is actually a little bit more icy than the right shoe is. I think that this is a direct result of the NuAntidote. So I would say, as far as like an initial cleaner is concerned, if I had a shoe that was a bit yellowed, but it was also dirty, NuAntidote might be a really good solution to help with the initial cleaning of the shoe. But for this specific project, I just don't really see a major difference that would compel me to think that the NuAntidote is going to do too much as far as the patent leather is concerned. I will say I'm rather impressed with the effects that it had on the left sole, and I think that that's very promising for future projects.
So at the end of the day, did this NuAntidote work? Well, it kind of did, and it kind of didn't. The patent leather really has not changed all that much over the past week or so, and to be honest with you, it's not something that I expected to have huge results with. Patent leather is a terribly tricky material, and once it's started to age and discolor, it's very hard to revert it back to its original condition. That being said, I think that there was definitely an effect that this NuAntidote had on the sole of the left shoe, and that's pretty clear in the before and after comparison shots. I don't think that we can discount NuAntidote as being an effective formula to help with deyellowing and icing. I just don't think that it worked very well on this specific pair of patent leather kicks. At any rate, I definitely don't want to write NuAntidote off quite yet, and I think that we got to put it up to the test, so you'll definitely be seeing this product around in future episodes of You're Icing Wrong. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for today's episode. If there's anything that you particularly liked or disliked, make sure that you guys let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for input to see how I can improve this series, and so far, I've received a lot of constructive criticism and trust that there are going to be some amazing episodes up ahead when I get the opportunity. If you guys are interested in staying up to date with any of the projects that I have going on, make sure that you stay tuned to the website at www.sailboatsupplies.xyz. If you guys want to stay up to date on a more daily basis, make sure that you check out the social media at Sailboat Supplies. As always, if you guys liked what you saw in today's video, please make sure to take the 10 extra seconds to click the like button and also hit that subscribe button. Quite honestly, it only takes 2 extra clicks with your index finger, and it really helps in a big way to support this channel. Thank you guys to everybody that stuck around until the cold, bitter end of this video. And you guys already know, I'm Sailboat, and I'm out of here.